Hello and welcome to the movie podcast review of The Batman. I cannot believe we are about to talk about this movie. My name is Daniel, and joining me today on the show to talk spoiler-free are my fellow vigilantes. We got Anthony.
Hello.
And we got Shahbaz.
Hey.
I was expecting, I'll be honest, I was expecting you guys to sound more like vigilantes when you were talking.
I'm a friendly vigilante, so I'm like, hey guys. I'm here to...
Do you need help with anything?
I'm here to take away the bad dudes, but also help.
Also,
with a smile.
I'm just here to be a friend.
I'm here to be a friend. Like, what? I'm here to be a pal.
Anthony, what's your vigilante sound like?
vengeance.
Oh my god. Sorry, we got the boogeyman here live in the studio joining us as well.
over here?
That was great. As always, you can catch a brand new episode of the Movie Podcast every single Monday, and watch out throughout the week for review episodes just like this one and all the latest movies and series. Make sure you follow us at the Movie Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd. And don't forget to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, join our Discord, and write into the show at hello@TheMoviePodcast.ca. You never know. You may just see us pop up in Forbes. Who knows? Shay, what happened this week with Forbes?
Hey, so, I tweeted out about how we know that on Disney Plus Canada, we're going to be having the Netflix Marvel shows coming out. And I think it kind of blew up.
It kind of went everywhere. IGN, Forbes, every single YouTube channel was calling you Shahbaz.
They were trying to pronounce my name. I loved it. They were shouting at the Movie Podcast.
I think they thought your last name was the Movie Podcast, by the way.
I think so.
Shahbaz, the Movie Podcast.
So to everybody that actually credited my tweet, thank you. I did see a lot of people just take my image.
Yeah.
Because my image has a slight watermark in there, and for the people who are really paying attention, they'll notice it. And I just saw people just using it like crazy. Like, I'm breaking this news. And I'm like, sure, I guess, whatever. It's all good.
It's pretty amazing. Like, when you, again, it wasn't like we had insider information. This was a press release that was sent to everybody. And, it's great that we're finally getting these shows elsewhere since they are being removed from Netflix. And you know what? We'll take the full credit for breaking that story.
Yeah.
You know what? And it got us on Forbes.
Yeah.
It got, Shay's name's on Forbes. The Movie Podcast is on Forbes. So you could say, we're just we really are a global show at this point.
Right, at this point.
Yeah, just start sending us money in the mail. Is that how it works?
I think so.
I think that's how it works. We got some quick announcements this week. This is Batman Week, or we're just finishing Batman Week, and it's ending with our spoiler-free review of this film, which we'll be talking about very soon. I did want to plug an interview that Anthony and I completed a few days ago at this point. We spoke to Mike Marino. He is a prosthetic makeup designer, and he worked on films like Coming to America, which he's nominated for an Oscar for. He's worked on The Many Saints of Newark. He's worked with The Weeknd, and his work can also be seen in the movie we are talking about today, The Batman. He worked with Colin Farrell to bring the Penguin to life, and he did the prosthetics in it. So definitely check that out. It's a great discussion, and we had a really great time. But today is all about The Batman. Like I said, I cannot believe we are finally talking about this movie. This is a full circle moment for us, because if you rewind the clocks back to 2019, to March 2019, pretty much almost day and date today of the embargo, we released an episode called Our Batman Pitches. And this is where we spoke about what we thought this movie was going to be. And here we are 3 years later, finally talking about what this movie is. The Batman stars Robert Pattinson as Bruce Wayne, Zoe Kravitz, Paul Dano, Jeffrey Wright, John Turturro, Peter Sarsgaard, Andy Serkis, and Colin Farrell. The Batman releases March 4th, 2022, exclusively in theaters by Warner Brothers Pictures, and I want to send a huge shout out to our friends at Warner Brothers Canada for inviting us to watch this film. Thank you so much, and we're ready to talk about it. Anthony, I'm going to get you to kick us off with a synopsis for The Batman.
I'm not going to do it in the Vengeance voice.
Please don't.
Batman ventures into Gotham City's underworld when a sadistic killer leaves behind a trail of cryptic clues. As the evidence begins to lead closer to home and the scale of the perpetrator's plans become clear, you must forge a new relationship, unmask the culprit, and bring justice to the abuse of power and corruption that has long plagued Gotham.
So before we dive into our first reactions, I just want to remind you, this is a full spoiler-free episode. So we will not be discussing any specifics. If you're hoping to find spoilers here, You won't
Get
find
outta
any.
here.
Get out of here. Get him, Batman. Or get him, Friendly Vigilante. Hey, guys, come on over.
That's my name, Friendly
Get out of
Vigilante.
here. But yeah, no spoilers today. We will have a spoiler cast for this film, most likely in a week or so. So, of course, follow us across our socials if you want to see exactly when that's going to release. We want to make sure we give audiences time to watch this film because there is so much to talk about, but we're going to do our best to navigate all of the spoiler bat minds in this discussion. Shay, I'm going to get you to start us off with your first reaction.
You know, Daniel, one of the first things that you mentioned was we started off with our Batman pitches, 3 years ago.
Yes.
And to come full circle to finally be here at the Batman is... I can't even put it into words, but I have to because it's my job.
It's our job, but also I want to say I think our pitches didn't come close to what we got.
No, and I'm very grateful.
Yes.
I'm very grateful. We're not meant to write a movie.
No, not yet.
I'm a huge fan of the movie Seven by David Fincher. It's my favorite movie of all time. I think if you were to place Batman in a movie like that, this is what you get. This movie is dark, it is brutal, it is vengeance at its finest. This is purely for the fans, but also for newcomers who want to see a different side of Batman that they haven't got. We've seen so many iterations of Batman throughout our time that to still get something fresh and new, I think is one of the biggest achievements of this film. This movie has a way to still surprise you in its almost near 3-hour runtime that you really don't even feel that much. You feel like you're watching one of the greatest crime dramas to ever happen with a character who dresses like a bat. But you believe every minute of this movie. You follow along through the narrative that's being woven. You follow along to the characters that are being evil. Paul Dano as the Riddler is chilling. Absolutely chilling. And if anybody has any complaints about Robert Pattinson being cast as the Batman, put your fears to rest.
Get him, Friendly Vigilante. Come on this way, buddy. Come on.
Put your fears to rest. There are so many amazing performances in this movie, and I want us to talk about everything kind of about this film, but for my first reactions, I'm stunned.
Shay, there's so much of what you said that I want to touch on. And again, we're going to get to all of our first reactions, but especially the comparisons to Seven. There are a lot of similarities to this, and from that very first trailer we got at Fandom all the way back in 2020, we got the David Fincher vibes right away with who this Riddler character is, and I think Paul Dano was absolutely terrifying throughout this film. We're going to talk a lot more about him, but Anthony, I want you to start us off with what you thought about the Batman, because you said there's no way this movie could be bad. Were you right?
Or did you mean bat?
Oh.
No, I meant bad.
Okay.
And it wasn't. There was no way. There was no way. From the beginning sequence to the last sequence, this movie was absolutely fantastic. It was the Batman I've been waiting for so long. I think a lot of people have been waiting for this type of Batman, the detective style Batman, the one who dives into these murder cases or these crimes and tries to figure out who the murderer is. And if you've read any type of graphic novel from Jeff Loeb to
Dan Snyder.
Scott Snyder. Scott Snyder,
yeah.
To any graphic novel that focuses on Batman and his rogue gallery and how grounded it is in terms of crime drama. This is the Batman you've been looking for. It is gritty. It takes place in an environment that just works. The rain and Gotham and just
Gotham's
darkness.
Crumbling in this movie.
It's so well done. And watching it and just going on this journey with Batman from the Penguin Lounge, or what is it?
Iceberg Lounge, yeah.
To seeing the Penguin, to seeing Falcone, to seeing Catwoman, to seeing all these characters and how it all ties into this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, all these different murders that are happening and giving you this twist that you didn't expect. It's just something I would have read in a graphic novel. I think Matt Reeves did a fantastic job of displaying this type of Batman. And another amazing thing he did was he incorporated all the amazing things from all the other Batmans into this one film. And I think that alone is just, he's paying homage to those versions, and that's fantastic as well, because I don't think, without those Batmans, we don't get this Batman. And Robert Pattinson as Batman is, I always had my doubts. Like he never looked like, or never felt like a Batman. But this version of Batman, year 2 Batman, he did a fantastic job. I can't wait to see him in other variations of or other stories. But this Batman was fantastic.
It's funny because I think when he was cast, we were like, okay, this is definitely a choice. But Matt Reeves saw something in his in his performances before, and he just brought that brutalness to the character of Bruce Wayne. But this movie really is about Batman. Batman is in like every scene of this movie, which is very rare because when you see films Batman in the past, he's Bruce Wayne for most of it, or when you're not including like Justice League, because that's a team up film. But like the character of Bruce Wayne in this film really is just, it is his mask, because Batman is the character in this movie. He is the character through and through. And I love that this Gotham is just crumbling. This Gotham is just worn and tethered, and it's full of corruption, and you feel it. You almost smell it. Like you see, like you just feel how established this world is. And I'm looking at a picture of The Dark Knight on my wall right now, and that's still one of my favorite movies of all time. That movie changed the way I looked at movies. But what I think the Nolan films did so well is like that. Yes, it brought that realism. They made it feel like it's a grounded take on the character. This version somehow feels even more grounded, but it embraces so much of what makes Batman an amazing character. This is, like you mentioned, the graphic novel. This feels like one of the greatest graphic novels I've ever watched. We have this world where it's like, okay, we're establishing Catwoman, we're establishing the Penguin, we're establishing Batman, Gordon, the Riddler. There are so many like cards in play in this film, but all of it works. All of it works. All of it's connected. And like Falcone in this movie too, like you're getting all of these points that we've known from the comics, and this really feels like one of the greatest comic book adaptations of all time. Like we're getting these characters and they're all living in this world together. They're all interacting with one another. It feels lived in. You don't have to worry about setting up each and every character. We don't have to worry about seeing the Waynes die again. And it's funny, I was watching an interview with Robert Pattinson, and he was saying like, we don't see the Waynes die in this film, so I have to wear that on my face the entire time, and you feel it because he is just brooding in this movie. You just see whenever he is Bruce Wayne, it's like a means to an end for that character. He has to become Bruce Wayne because that's the mask he has to wear to go to where he needs to go to. But he is Batman in this movie. And anytime Batman was on screen, I was just locked in. I love that we got to see Batman work with the GCPD, interact with Catwoman and Penguin, and just, there's so many incredible moments in this movie, and I can't wait for us to be able to talk freely about it. Where do you guys want to go from here? So we got our first reactions out of the way. Typically, in a normal review, this is kind of where we would just, give our final reaction, teeter off, and talk about different stuff. What aspect of this film we want to touch on? Because there's a lot, from the score to the cinematography to the direction. There's a lot. Where do you guys want to jump off from here?
Let's go to performances, because I think the performances of his supporting cast were fantastic, as good as Robert Pattinson's character.
We sang Robert Pattinson's praise a lot. He's fantastic. Let's look at Zoe Kravitz in this film. A lot of screen time.
Yeah.
A lot of screen time. I think what I loved about Zoe is that, we know Catwoman's character so well that she is, she can be conniving. She is almost like a siren in some ways. And in this movie, she carries a lot of weight on her. She carries this feeling of, I gotta do this on my own, but it's nice to have the Batman here to kind of help me out. And I love that about Zoe. Has a very sexy charm to her as well. She's so fun to watch, and her relationship with Robert Pattinson in this movie, Robert Pattinson's Batman in this film, is, you can cut that sexual tension with a knife.
Yeah, it's very magnetic, but very magnetic. They have such great chemistry together.
Yeah,
and I love that they relied on each other so much, because Catwoman is such a seminal figure in the comic books, and just with Batman, the Bat and the Cat, and right out the gate, we're getting them as that pair together.
Yeah.
I love that.
I really love that.
Any thoughts on Zoe Kravitz, Anthony?
Yeah, I wish to see more of her. I think this is a different type of Catwoman. So usually when we think of Catwoman, when we think of this, burglar who's always, there's always something. She's like 5 steps ahead of you.
Yeah, ulterior motives all the time.
Always the time. But this version of Catwoman is more caring, and she's not the Catwoman we've seen, and maybe she will be in the future. But I did like the performance of Zoe Kravitz. I think she did a fantastic job, and that tension between her and Batman, man, they don't know each other yet.
No,
you know? Like they don't know each other fully. So when you do see them together, their chemistry is fantastic, and they bring like an element to the series that is so needed for Batman, because I think Catwoman grounds him. Because when you watch this Batman, you see Robert Pattinson he's sad, like he's dark, like he's just wants to be Batman all the time.
Yes.
Well, Catwoman kind of like brings out the loving side of him.
For
like,
sure.
Oh,
Yeah.
I can love someone. I can.
You could care about somebody.
I can
Yeah.
kiss her. I can kiss you, type of thing. Like I don't think like he's felt
Can I
that
kiss
type
you?
of love before.
No,
I think she throws him off. I think that's what you're trying to say here.
Yeah.
She disarms him a lot.
definitely.
Yeah.
Disarming is definitely the word.
Yeah.
Because we see Batman disarming her a lot. There's no guns,
Yeah.
no killing.
No kill.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the villain of this film. We have Paul Dano. The presence of the Riddler in this film is felt in every scene.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while since I've been very afraid of a villain, and there's a lot of realism that's tied to this portrayal of the Riddler. A lot of just the feeling of like, this is a terrorist, this is a guy using the internet, live streaming, going to the dark web,
All believable.
collecting minions. Like this is especially in 2022, we've seen this. He's chilling. Shay, you said it. Paul Dano's chilling in this film. What did you think of his performance?
You know, Paul Dano is one of the finest actors we have working today, and he picks and chooses his roles very particularly. So for him to choose a film that's a lot more of a blockbuster, which he typically doesn't go down the route of, I was curious. I was wondering what he was going to bring to this role, and my God, it is absolutely bone chilling. It is frightening. I feel like he's the kind of person that would peel off your skin. Like, I know that sounds a little aggressive.
Sorry, just want to confirm. The Riddler?
The Riddler.
Okay, the Riddler.
Just because he's so...
Not Paul Dano.
Oh, yes. Paul Dano has done that before. Breaking that news here, too. No, it's crazy how I believed he was an actual psychopath. That he was so...
Disturbed.
So disturbed, so lost, but still so smart. He's very intelligent.
Yes.
Every move is like a chess move to him.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul Dano brings a voice to the character that we haven't seen, and he brings a mystery to the character that we haven't gotten. You know, no disrespect to Jim Carrey. I think what Jim Carrey was able to do in Batman Forever was what Joel Schumacher wanted in the fun, loving, campy way. But this is a serial killer, if anything. He is a serial killer. This is the John Doe from Seven.
And you know, I was about to say you brought up the John Doe comparison earlier, and you brought it again now. There's that voice in Seven, you know, when he's like, detective, like, and he screams. You feel the chillingness in his performance, and again, we keep saying that it's chilling. It literally, there's moments where I got just goosebumps whenever he spoke, because it was just so unnerving the entire time. Anthony, what do you think of the Riddler?
Like this is a Riddler I have not experienced before, because you know, when you think of the Riddler, they riddle me this, riddle me that. Like, I'm smarter than you.
Batman.
Oh, you got that wrong, Batman. Good try. But like this Riddler is a psychopath. He has like these moments where he can't even he breathes really heavy, and he has like these like this exhaustion that comes out of him because he needs to like release it, and it's just, and when he's wrong or when he's right,
he wants people to see what he's doing.
Yeah, and if you've seen Paul Dano in Prisoners, and you know how much of like a villain he can be, and how he has that smirk and those glasses, it just puts him into like this different realm. Man, like chilling, like 100% like Seven, 100% like any type of, you know, serial killer you could think of.
Yeah,
this is he's incorporated that.
I've never like, and again, like what I've loved so much, because this movie is just so grounded. Like, these characters all feel like they are real characters.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. I loved Batman's connection and his partnership with Jim Gordon in this movie.
Yeah.
Jeffrey Wright was so good.
Yeah.
What a inspired casting choice that was. Because you could just tell that he's just someone who's been working in Gotham. He's tired. He's just grizzled, and he's just like, listen, like, I'm going to work with the bat. I got to do my thing, but also having the police hate Batman as well too.
Yeah.
There's a really cool line, like a line in that they kind of balance with that. Colin Farrell as Oswald Cobblepot. That's it. Thank you so much. Yeah,
he's the Penguin.
Yeah.
No, Colin Farrell to me is another actor who you never suspect him to do a kind of role like this. This is going to be a weird comparison, but I look at a movie like Horrible Bosses, where he was just a horrible person in that movie. He looked really hideous in that film as well.
Yeah.
And he did a performance that I'd never seen Colin Farrell do. So neurotic in that film. And in this, he does the exact same thing again, where he completely changes your perception of what Colin Farrell can do. He's no longer the handsome Irish bad boy.
Yeah.
He is this mean mug,
Tony Soprano.
chubby, soprano-looking mother, like a mother.
Vafangul.
Oh, hey, Anthony's right here.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because the Penguin is not like the Penguin obviously in Batman Returns, where he's just a sight for sore eyes and just kind of makes you get creeped out. This is the Penguin that you're afraid of, but also you're like, I think I can step up to you still.
Yeah.
I can try to step up on your toes.
He's on the rise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Also, like, you kind of want to know more about him.
Yes.
Like, he wasn't a villain in the sense of like other Penguins. Like, I kind of like
other Penguins.
But like other versions of the Penguin,
right?
Even, like the comic book Penguin, and I think even the comic book Penguin is like, nowadays he's not the villain that Batman needs to take care of all the time. He's almost like the villain that Batman goes to like get more information, and that's what we see in this movie. We see Batman utilize the Penguin because he's not the character. He's not that character yet. He's rising up. But yeah, like Colin Farrell and his facial expressions with Mike Marino, who we just interviewed, and his beautiful prosthetics, and just make him into this fantastic.
He's someone else. He's a
beast.
He is a character that he's an actor that doesn't exist. It's like he's like this new person that was made for this performance to be pulled off.
And we learned that Colin Farrell learned how to become the Penguin just by putting on these prosthetics, and you can see it. He's like, he must have transformed into this Goomba gangster.
This Goomba gangster,
who even we've seen the sequence in the trailer where he's racing with Batman to escape, and it's just like, I got you, like I got you.
Yeah,
that sequence, I mean, in the trailer it looks fantastic, but I think I couldn't catch my breath when we're watching it on an IMAX screen.
Yeah, I listen, I'm not surprised that we are getting a spin-off of Gotham PD. I am not surprised that we're getting a spin-off of the Penguin. I would love a Catwoman series. That would be like, there's so much just worlds building that they've done in this film that I just want to know every aspect of Gotham.
Yeah.
Give me a series that takes place in the 40s. I talk about the Waynes and the Arkhams and everything.
My biggest worry is, if you're going to give me a Gotham PD show, it needs to be like, it needs to look exactly like this film, because it needs to. I don't want it to look any different. I need the production value to be the same, or it just breaks this whole
the world that they're building.
Matt's building.
Yeah. So what other performances in this film really stood out to us? We didn't get too much Andy Serkis. We didn't get too much of John Turturro. I think we got enough of him.
So for me, I think John Turturro was one of my absolute favorites.
Yes. Scene stealer for what he was in.
His performance to me was one of those performances where, if you can nominate J.K. Simmons as supporting actor, you can nominate John Turturro for sure, because he was so fucking good.
Yeah,
he was chilling. He was also chilling.
Chilling.
I'm sorry to overuse that word here, but that's how
he was unpredictable watching him.
He was unpredictable. He was a mob boss that you always see, but you never get.
Right.
Yeah.
And again, like, we got a taste of it in the Nolan films, that we're getting the mob in this world, but once Batman Begins dealt with a little bit of the mob, and then The Dark Knight had some of the mob. They were never really the lead villains. They were more the backdrop. Where when we look at The Long Halloween, we look at a lot of like Batman Year One and things like that. The mob are so crucial to that underworld of Gotham.
Right.
And we're seeing that. We got this established in this world with Maroni, Falcone, the Waynes. The art, like we're getting all of that established here. So it's cool to see that world building again. That world building was amazing throughout this film. I'd be remiss if we didn't talk about Michael Giacchino's score.
Well, we have to talk about score.
Let's talk about the score.
Yeah.
Amazing.
That's all about the score.
Amazing score. I think what I loved about the score as well is that Michael Giacchino is very much a chameleon when he tries to compose a film.
Yeah,
he can take you to happy places, he can take you to dark places, and what I loved about the score is the film is essentially a very dark and brooding film, but there are elements of the score that are so superhero-like
and hopeful.
They take you with you, and I'm humming it. I'm thinking about it. I can't wait to once 12 o'clock hits, we can start listening to it. I can't wait.
I'm just again, like he's been teasing the score. We got the Batman score, we got the Riddler score, which I love. Like I called it. Like literally when I first heard that score, I'm like, this sounds like a minor version of Ave Maria. And then we kind of see how that's played through the funeral scene in this film and other moments in this movie. Like, wow, that's just such a cool choice that he took this song that meant something to this character and he turned it into a scary version of that. And then we got Catwoman's score, which is very much just like a noir. Like when you listen to it, you feel like the room just got all smoky, like it started raining. Like there's that just truly, this is like the most noir Batman we've ever gotten. And like we were talking about Nightmare Alley a couple months ago. Like you got that feel to Gotham, right? It's always dark. It's always raining. There's like a crime in the air. There's a grime to it, and I think the score encapsulates so much of that.
Yeah, like I go back to the car chase sequence and just utilizing the score with the Penguin and the Batman. And the car seat and the engine of that car. It felt like Christian Bale in The Dark Knight when he's riding his Batmobile.
Tumbler, yeah.
And it's just like dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. And it just any type of Batman score is always going to be fantastic.
Yeah.
Like the only one that I would say would be the weakest would probably be like Batman versus Superman. I don't remember it as dun, dun, dun.
Yeah, it was the Nightmare theme. Yeah, it was the Nightmare theme. And then we go to Justice League and it's the Danny Elfman just kind of brings back his own score, right? Which again, iconic in 1989, but it just didn't really feel like it matched Ben Affleck's Batman. Something I also want to just call out. I know we've been talking a long time because there's so much to talk about in this movie. Shay, you mentioned earlier that this wouldn't be a film that you would traditionally see Colin Farrell sign up for, or Paul Dano sign up for, or even
the whole cast.
This isn't a traditional superhero film.
No,
this isn't a traditional blockbuster film.
No, this is a very much a director who's making a film solely based on a thriller. They wanted to make something that was a thriller. They wanted to make something that was grounded. They wanted to make a detective film because this is the first time we really get to see Batman become a detective. He's out there solving riddles. He's out there looking at things like, oh, yeah, the blood's over here and the blood matches this. And hey, the reason why this is that. You don't see that. You don't see the slow progression of Batman because we've only seen him just kick ass. And we all know Batman can fight. That's not the point. But this Batman fights when it's necessary.
This Batman doesn't need to travel a lot either. Like it's all happening in the city. And you see him connect the crimes to each one of these characters that he's incorporated with, even to himself. Like it's a very personal story with this Batman, and you think it's not. You think it's just the Riddler, but there's more to it. And once you watch it, you'll see. But when it comes to that end sequence and that twist, you're like, man, that's like you didn't expect it, and very much like The Dark Knight, where you didn't expect Jim Gordon to pretend that he was dead and he comes like it's such a twist. It's fantastic. It's something that I would have read in a graphic novel that I don't think a lot of studios would have taken the risk on, especially because nowadays you want to make big budget movies.
You want franchises,
big money.
Yeah,
you want the Marvel. This is not a Marvel movie. This is not like, oh, we're gonna have Superman show up and we're gonna have these creatures show up. It's a very detective style.
These
film.
creatures, they're just other members of the Justice League, man.
No, man.
No, I'm kidding. Like aliens and stuff. Yeah,
aliens or any supernatural type of Batman.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know what's his name. Clayface.
Clayface, or even just Steppenwolf or anything like that, right? This is the Batman film I think we've been waiting for. Cinematography, Greg Fraser's coming off of his nomination for Dune. Beautiful work. The amount of times we just have these close-ups of Batman's eyes. Again, we're seeing so much Batman in this movie, and there are so many sequences where I'm like, perfect shot,
yeah.
perfect shot.
Frame this one.
Give me this gift.
Yeah.
Like it's beautiful. You've seen the trailers for this movie. That does nothing until you see everything together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we go from here, guys?
In terms of
our review.
Oh, no, I meant like in terms of next
for next Batman, that we'll save for our spoiler cast. Definitely we'll save for that. Anything else that you want to touch on in our in our review of the Batman?
I would say like even editing wise, like, it's well edited because it's so well paced. You don't feel like it's 3 hours and you're so invested in the story because you want to know what happens and you want to know how all these things interact with you or interconnect with each other. I think the editing on it, which is, they must have gone through tons of footage.
Yeah, there's a lot.
You're getting a 3-hour film. I think it was so well edited. I know Matt Reeves was editing almost to the day this movie was supposed to be completed, which was, I think, January. Because I know they did that Fandango interview.
Right.
And they were saying Matt's still like editing this film.
Yeah, he's still working on it. He's still working on it.
And I think another big thing that I liked that they use a lot of visual effects in the sense, but you don't know their visual effects.
You don't know their visual effects.
I've seen those LED screens that they used in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, they also the volume,
they used in this movie. You feel like this movie takes place in fucking New York, and and it's actually taking place in UK.
Yeah, but do you feel like it's New York? Because I felt like it was very distinct Gotham. Like it felt like a city. Like but you know how Nolan's films feel like. Yeah. Oh, this is Chicago.
It felt like New York. Like when they did the pan outs, you see New York. There's also like they call
an island.
Yeah, and there's a Gotham Gardens, and I always think of like Madison Square Garden.
MSG.
Like it felt like that. So it had like that Times Square type of look.
Yeah, there was a Times Square feeling to it.
It's much bigger than Christopher Nolan's Gotham.
Right.
This feels like a Gotham, a dark, gritty Gotham.
Like the city felt like it's crumbling. Like there are established areas of the city that like if you've ever played the Arkham games, like you just feel like this is a stylized city that you're in. And because it's taking place in the UK and they built like a whole soundstage of the city, it gives it that freedom to feel distinct. When you think of the Narrows in Batman Begins, that felt like a very distinct look of Gotham. Yep. You didn't really get that as much in The Dark Knight or The Dark Knight Rises because you got Pittsburgh and New York filling in for Gotham,
right,
and then Chicago in The Dark Knight. The Narrows felt very distinct, and this felt like a whole world of that. We don't really see the daytime too much. Even if we do see the daytime, it's cloudy.
It was like dusk.
There's no sun in this film.
There is a sunrise.
There is a sunset, maybe somewhere in this film.
Yeah, because they were on the building.
Yeah,
there is that, and you see it in the trailer that there's when
he's with Catwoman.
With Catwoman, there's like that. That's the only sun you see.
Yeah, but it's still not like a clear sunny day.
No, because
they don't exist.
There shouldn't be no sun in Gotham.
It's the UK. They don't have the sun there.
Yeah, I get why it was shot in the UK because it's raining.
I did want to say sorry before.
Yeah.
Remember your thought. Remember your thought because you
forgot it already.
Oh no, because you mentioned the 3-hour time. This is a 3-hour movie. For me personally, I didn't feel like that 3 hours. I could have had another hour of this movie.
Yeah.
I literally was sitting there. I'm like, I don't want this to end. Don't end.
Yeah.
But it ends in the perfect spot.
Yeah.
It knows exactly where to end.
You think it's gonna end, and then it doesn't end. It's just like, there's more to this.
Yeah.
There's more.
Give it
You're
to
so
me.
happy because, you want to see more of this Batman.
You really do.
I wanted to say like the Batmobile is probably one of my favorite Batmobiles.
Yep.
And I wish we saw more of it because
it's scary.
Loud. And I think this Bruce or this Batman really loves muscle cars.
Yeah.
He drives a Corvette.
Yeah, he does.
To the funeral sequence, which is different because you think he would have driven a European car,
right?
And he has a muscle car with a fucking Rolls Royce engine in it, like the jet engine inside there.
So if you read the book, the prequel book, this film that's out now, this is no spoilers. Bruce built the car. He's very much like a what's the word I'm thinking, like a gearhead. Is
Sure,
that the
yeah.
terminology?
But you can see in the movie too that he's building it.
That he's building it too. Like this is a car that he's souping up himself. And I just love that it's so scary. It's so loud. Like there's a sequence that we see from the trailers, obviously, that this is a terrifying thing. If you see this coming towards you, it is like you're having a rocket chase you.
Yeah.
It's screaming at you.
Yeah.
It is literally screaming at you, and it's incredible. If you couldn't tell already, I think we really like this.
I want to buy, like, and when we were watching the movie, I looked at you and said, "That's your Lego Batman." And then I'm like, man, I want to buy this car.
You're gonna buy the Lego set now, eh? It's a cool one.
I want to just put like a little speaker in it so it can make that sound.
It just screams.
Put your iPhone in there. What I love about this movie is that even if you don't like superhero films,
Yeah.
this is for you still.
This is
for somebody.
This is literally what The Dark Knight was, in the sense of this isn't your regular superhero film. This is a crime drama that has to do with characters that some of them are in costumes. You know, like I don't look at Batman. It's funny. Batman never looked like a guy in a costume in this movie. You know what I mean? Like when you're watching a character, you see a character in their superhero suit or their uniform. You see like, oh, that's a guy in a costume. When I saw Batman in this movie, I literally just saw, oh, that's Batman. That's how Batman looks. I didn't think of that's a guy in a mask. I'm like, no, Robert Pattinson, that's Batman in the scene right now.
Robbie P.
You know, like Batman exists. There's so much to talk about, and I know we're tiptoeing around a lot of spoilers here. Let's get to our final.
I just want to say,
please, no,
one more thing.
take it away.
Because I don't think we've given him credit enough. Matt Reeves did a fantastic job.
Matt Reeves' direction.
Matt Reeves did a fantastic job.
5 years ago, almost to the day, or we just passed the anniversary, so 5 years and a couple days, this man was announced to be taking over the directing duties of this film. Yeah, and you're right. You know, I don't think we've talked about what he's done.
Yeah.
Matt Reeves' direction in this film.
His vision, I think, in this movie is unparalleled. I think what I love about it is that he's paying homage to so many directors that you can tell that he grew up watching, that he's respected and loved, while still having his own DNA. I think that's the toughest part. You can definitely say, oh, I want to make the next David Fincher movie. I want to make the next Denis Villeneuve movie. But this is still a Matt Reeves movie.
You see the DNA in all of Matt Reeves' other films, and this is the culmination of his work, and I think his best work to date. Let's get to our final recommendation for the Batman. Shay, I'm going to get you to start us off.
I think everybody knows here what I'm going to say. The
Skip
words that are about to come out of my mouth.
You say skip it?
I
sound like a skip it
this
right now.
movie is one of the,
No.
This is the movie that if this movie isn't my number one at the end of the year, I'm going to be very surprised. This is a real gem.
I'd be very surprised as well, too, because what else is coming out this year that could challenge
I'm floored.
this?
I'm absolutely floored.
We
the
are-
only thing,
There's Thor and
Thor and Doctor Strange, yes.
and of course, I'm very excited for the Marvel films. And don't get me wrong, and I'm not trying to turn this into like
okay, so let's I just want to say it.
Okay.
Like watching this movie, which is a comic book film,
Yep.
right.
and watching what we know Doctor Strange and Thor is going to be, which is going to be it's going to be a Marvel film.
Yeah.
It's going to be like a roller coaster ride.
I don't like the smirk you have on your face right now.
Would you call this cinema? Or would you, like I'm trying to
Well,
I get what you're
I
saying.
get what you're saying. Like I feel like this is a blend of both worlds that I think real directors would be like,
No, I don't want to turn this into a DC versus Marvel thing. And
it's not.
But I get what you're trying to say. But I also think that I want to give respect to the Sam Raimis, to the John Watts, to everybody who's made a Marvel film, because what they're trying to make is a general audience appealing film. While they're still they still put a lot of work in them, and that's not what I'm trying to say. Whereas this is a movie this is very cinematic. This is not your thrill ride kind of film. This is not something that you're like, oh my god, like let's all take the kids to see it.
Yeah, or who's going to show up in this?
Or who's going to show up in this. This is something that is very smart and intelligible, and it's fucking amazing. Like this is what a film.
But I also want to have a distinction with that. Yeah, we're also looking at very different audiences looking at these movies. Where the Marvel films, yes, these are tailored to kids. So is Batman. I totally get that.
Yeah.
But this is not a kids movie.
Not a kids movie.
This is also like when you think of I think it's a tribute to the character of Batman that we could have all these different incarnations, right? The Nolan Batman films, I don't consider those kids movies either. Because they're different, but it's very much a director's take on them, and they're also not having to worry about fitting into a larger worlds, right? Batman's been really lucky to his films, with the exception of the Ben Affleck films, just to kind of do their own thing and have there be very much director vision. Right. And that's, I think, reflected in the budget of this film, which was rumored to be about $100 million, right?
Yeah.
And just
wow,
like
$100 million.
This movie looks incredible.
Yeah,
this movie looks incredible.
It looks more than $100 million.
Anthony, I want you to give us your final recommendation for the Batman.
It's a real gem.
That's his first real gem.
I've given real gem. I gave it Quiet Place Part 2 real gem.
Yeah, he did.
You did.
Okay.
You looked at each other like that's a bad thing.
No, I forgot. I forgot.
Know what? This is definitely a real gem.
This is a realer gem, Anthony. That's not a thing.
This is a realer. This is an uncut gem.
Oh wow,
uncut gems.
It's got gems.
No, I think my biggest thing is I need this movie to be recognized when it comes to awards.
I agree.
Like, if this is not Best Picture, nominated for Best Picture by next year, Best Cinematography, Best Editing, like you are like messed in the head.
This movie
You're messed in the head.
This movie checks all the boxes. And again, people are going to be like, "Oh yeah, it's just another Batman movie, or it's a superhero movie.
Man.
They don't belong in these awards." This movie destroys every single movie that's nominated for Best Picture this year.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm really curious to see where it's going to be next year. For myself, I mean, what could we say that we already haven't said? This isn't just, I think, one of the best comic book films. Like, I think this is one of my favorite movies of all time. And again, this has a recency bias. I get it.
Yeah.
But this movie did things, and it's one of those films that I was almost like, I was just so nervous watching it. And you recognize when you're watching something, and I'm like, oh, that was a great scene. Oh, it's another great scene. And every scene leading to it, you're just feeling like, oh my God, it's getting better and better. And on the drive home, I was thinking about it. And as you guys were talking, I'm remembering moments that I loved. I just can't wait to watch it again.
Sorry.
Yeah.
When you're watching something and you're looking at it and you're like, this is going to be big.
This is special.
This is going to be talked about for years. This is going to be studied. People aren't ready for this. That's what I felt watching this, because I was so shocked while watching this movie that I'm like, people will talk about this.
People will watch
years.
this movie, and they'll decide to make movies.
Yeah,
Yes.
Like this is what the Dark Knight did for me in 2008. What it did for a lot of people. That's what this Batman is going to be for so many generations of kids growing up and seeing this movie and being
want to
like,
be directors.
I could do that. Like that. Like that
could be Batman.
I mean, like, you could do that in a movie.
Yeah,
you could do this with a comic book character. I honestly think Matt Reeves has given us the definitive Batman, and I think Robert Pattinson is going to define who this character is for generations to come now. Like, this is going to be the Batman that we know and love for so many people. Robert Pattinson's Batman is going to be the Batman for so many kids and for us. Like, 3 years ago or 2 years ago when he was announced, or it was 3 years ago, it was 2019, right? Mm-hmm. He was announced, and we were all just like, that's a choice. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But man, like, this really was the movie that we've been waiting for, and I think this is going to change the game. Like right when The Dark Knight came out, and we saw a lot of movies afterwards shooting their action in the same way, like just having the music that way, just having that intensity the same way. People always look to that movie for what a superhero film could be, and I think people are going to look at this film the same way.
Yeah, it's going to be that. It's going to be how we look at graphic novels in the comic industry, as like that story that is very, like, it's just so unique and it needs a graphic novel. This is what Batman's going to do for superhero films.
Yeah,
I think it's going to, like, we're so lucky to have Marvel films and be on those journeys. But I'm sorry, they don't compare to this film. Like, they just, I know they're different, but like, this is it. This is what, if you've read a graphic novel, this is what we've been waiting for.
Thank you so much for listening to the Movie Podcast spoiler-free review of The Batman. Don't forget, you could catch it in theaters March 4th everywhere. And I want to say thank you to our friends at Warner Brothers Canada for inviting us to watch it. You could look forward to our spoiler cast sometime in the next week. Make sure you're following us at The Movie Podcast on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Letterboxd to see when that's going to be going live. Don't forget, you can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, join our Discord, and write into the show at
hello at TheMoviePodcast.ca.
As always, you can catch a brand new episode of The Movie Podcast every single Monday. I want to encourage you all to please go listen to our episode with Mike Marino. He is a prosthetic makeup designer on this film for The Penguin. He's also worked on so many other amazing shows and films. And you know what? He was just nominated for an Oscar for Coming to America. So I just wanted to say thank you again to Mike Marino for joining us on the show this week. And look forward to everything we have coming up on the Movie Podcast, because there is lots to look forward to. That was This Time with the Movie Podcast, and we'll see you next.